Alright, this is the third video about absolute value equations and inequalities. And in this video, we're going to look at some equations and inequalities that look a lot more complicated, but really they're not that bad. They look a lot worse than they are. Alright, so take a look at this absolute value equation. Alright, we're going to solve and graph the solutions to this. Okay, so what you'll notice is that there are a lot of different things in this equation that are outside of the absolute value. Right? And the first thing that you want to do is you want to try to get the absolute value part of the equation to be completely by itself. Right? So we're essentially going to solve for this absolute value of 3x. We're going to try to get this absolute value of 3x to be all by itself. Right? So here's what we would do. Let's add 5 to both sides. So we have 6 is equal to the absolute value of 3x divided by 2. All right, next, let's multiply both sides by 2. All right, so I have 12 is equal to, the 2's here will divide out, those become 1, and I have the absolute value of 3x. Alright, so now I have an inequality that is a lot nicer looking. Right? This is not that intimidating. Right? So again, what we really wanted to do was start with this complicated looking thing and then get that into be something that's a lot more simple. Right? We want to solve for the absolute value part. And then once you do that, this is really pretty much the same as what we did in a previous video. Right? You might want to rewrite this so your absolute value is on the left. For some reason that tends to be easier, right? So, but again, let's think about what this means, right? Absolute value is a distance away from 0. So this thing here, this 3x, is a distance of 12 from 0. Right? 3x is 12 spaces away from 0. Okay, let's kind of look at a picture of what that would look like. Right? So I'm going to do my thinking graph up here, and for your thinking graph, you really don't have to make this precise. This is not part of your final answer. This is just for your thinking. Right? So let's think about it. What numbers are 12 spaces away from 0? Right? Well, that would be 12 and negative 12. Right? So this thing here inside the absolute value, 3x, could be equal to 12, or it could be equal to negative 12, because those are the two numbers that are 12 spaces away from 0. All right, so what we really need to solve are these two equations. 3x is either equal to negative 12, or 3x is equal to positive 12. Right, and these are really simple equations to solve. Let's divide both sides by 3. So we get x is either equal to negative 4 for this one, or the second equation, let's divide both sides by 3. So x is either equal to negative 4 or x is equal to positive 4. Right? And those would be our two solutions. Okay, let's do the final graph. Right, and this one's really simple. So our two solutions are positive 4 and negative 4. Okay, so here's our final solution, negative 4 and 4, and our graph. Right, and you want to be a lot more careful with doing a good job with your final answer graph, but you don't have to do such a precise, detailed job with the thinking graph. All right, I want you to try this one on your own, and actually, why don't you do this? Why don't you start with this absolute value inequality and try to get the absolute value by itself first, and then check in with our answer, okay, and see if you did that first. All right, so again, I want you to pause and then solve for this absolute value part first, and then unpause and make sure you got that right before you keep on going. All right, so go ahead and pause and do that part. Alright, so let's see if you solve for the absolute value part correctly. Okay, we're trying to get this absolute value of x minus 2 to be all by itself. So first thing I would do, let's subtract 10. And I have negative 3 times the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than negative 24. Okay, and then one more thing, to get this absolute value part to be by itself, let's divide both sides by negative 3. Alright, these negative 3's will divide out. This becomes 1 and 1. So I have the absolute value of x minus 2. On the right, I have negative 24 divided by negative 3 is 8. Okay, now be careful. We divided both sides by a negative number, so our inequality symbol needs to be reversed. Okay, so we have this now. Absolute value of x minus 2 is greater than 8. Is that what you got? All right, if you did, great job. Okay, and if you'd like, you can pause the video again and practice graphing and solving this thing. Okay, all right, but I'm going to continue here. Okay, so again, this thing, x minus 2, its distance away from 0 needs to be bigger than 8. All right, well, let's do our thinking graph. All right, let's say here's 0, and here's 8, and negative 8. And let me just show a couple points around it. 7, 9, negative 7, negative 9. All right, so I want the distance away from 0 to be bigger than 8. Well, here's where the distance is exactly 8. All right, but I want the distance to be more than 8. So where are the numbers that are more than 8 spaces away from 0? Right? Well, those are these numbers. To the right, these are more than 8 spaces away from 0, and these over here on the left, these are more than 8 spaces away from 0. All right? So what we have is this, that x minus 2 could be less than negative 8, or x minus 2 could be greater than positive 8. All right? And that's from looking at this graph. Let's go ahead and finish solving this. I just need to add 2 to both sides here. So I have x is less than negative 6. For the other one, let's add 2 to both sides. And we have x is greater than 10. So our answer is this. X is less than negative 6, or x is greater than 10. So our final graph, let's put that here. Let's see, let's do 0, negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 over here. All right, so x is either less than negative 6 or bigger than 10. So that would look like this. Negative 6 is not a solution, but all the numbers less than negative 6 are. Right? 10 is not a solution, but all the numbers greater than 10 are solutions. And there you have it. All right? X is less than negative 6 or x is greater than 10.